Morning. So the biggest takeaway for me is it's really kind of a continuation of some of the trends we've been seeing over the last few months. So as you'd said, overall sales are up 3%, and that's off the back of our inflation measure of grocery items increasing by 1.7%. So that's actually down slightly versus the previous 4 weeks, which was at 1.8%. And even though that number's been coming down for quite some time, households are still feeling the pinch, and we're definitely not quite out of the woods just yet. So 60% of our survey that we went out to, which talked about different kind of financial pressures, still identified as either extremely or very concerned about rising grocery prices. And that's the second biggest concern. So that the number one concern that our shoppers tell us is all around energy prices. So we're still seeing kind of sentiment coming from shoppers where they're still feeling the pinch. And whilst we're seeing some positive signs in terms of consumer confidence improving, that, as I said, we are still seeing the pinch in terms of shoppers' confidence in terms of their wallet.
Tom, something that the economists have been talking about more, and something the politicians have been talking about as well, has been these high-frequency items, things that consumers are buying a lot of, and they feel like they've gotten much more expensive in recent times, which is why they're somewhat stressed about how much they're paying out on a daily or weekly basis. If you look at the data points and what was moving, we were talking about this earlier, vitamin, mineral supplements, chilled fruit juices, chocolate confectionery to the upside. I mean, some of those categories, you could say that customers would just leave on the shelf or choose a substitute. I mean, chilled fruit juices, there's a cheaper way of making a fruit juice than buying one that is bottled. One's to the downside. I mean, people bought a lot of pets, for instance, during COVID lockdowns, but dog food, for instance, is coming down. Do you see a difference in the high-frequency items where it makes a difference for consumers?
I think definitely what we're seeing on some of those sorts of items where shoppers are feeling a bit more confident, that they're maybe kind of stretching out into some of those wider categories that they weren't buying into before. So particularly when we think of brands and own label, we're actually seeing brands really kind of driving some of the growth alongside premium own label. So there is definitely still a space for some of those items, as you said, something like chilled fruit juice, where obviously there are different alternatives there. We are still seeing some of those grow ahead because there are a portion of shoppers who might be feeling a little bit more comfortable than they were perhaps versus this time last year. But yeah, overall, what we're still seeing is, shoppers trying to manage their budgets where they can.
Really?